So imagine you're building this massive billion-dollar titanium reinforced vault for your life savings.
Right, like a literal impenetrable fortress.
Yeah, exactly. You pour this foundation of solid reinforced concrete. You build these incredibly thick stone walls that could, withstand a siege.
You'd probably want state-of-the-art biometric scanners, too.
Oh, absolutely. Retina scanners, a massive spin dial lock, and a whole web of laser security grids.
Sounds pretty secure so far.
Right. But then, right after locking everything up, you take the architectural blueprints of the entire fortress, the master combination to the vault, and like a detailed map highlighting exactly where all the security cameras are blind.
Okay.
And you just take all of that and you tape it to the front door for literally anyone passing by to read.
Which completely, nullifies the entire concept of having a vault in the first place.
Exactly.
You've done all this incredibly hard work of building the fortress, only to voluntarily hand over the master key simply because, I guess, it was more convenient than trying to remember it yourself.
And according to a pretty staggering new survey from Experian, nearly half of all Americans are doing exactly that right now, today, without even realizing it.
It's honestly mind-blowing when you look at the raw numbers.
It really is. Welcome to the Generational Wealth Project. If you are joining us today, you are likely someone who actively tries to stay informed, someone who wants to understand the shifting ground beneath our feet.
And the ground is definitely shifting right now.
Rapidly. Today, we have a fascinating stack of research to get through for this deep dive, including that massive Experian survey and a truly just a wake-up call of a study out of MIT.
That MIT study is something else.
We'll get to that for sure. Our mission today is exploring this unseen, quiet collision between a monumental technological shift, generative AI, and the deeply personal, highly sensitive world of your money.
And it is a collision that is happening in total silence, really.
Yeah.
Most people have zero idea the level of danger they are placing themselves in every single day.
So true. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder. Please like and subscribe to the Generational Wealth Project so you never miss an update on protecting and growing your wealth.
It's the best way to keep getting these deep dives.
Okay, so we are going to examine why millions of people are suddenly turning to AI chatbots for money management. We will expose the hidden structural risks of these platforms, and most importantly, we are going to break down the 5 specific financial data points you must never, ever feed into a chatbot.
Those 5 points are absolutely crucial.
But let's unpack this from the start, because before we can really protect ourselves, we need to understand the why now. Like, why are we so incredibly drawn to these tools for something as sensitive as our finances?
Well, to really understand the why, we have to look at the sheer scale of what that Experian data is actually telling us.
Right, the 50% stat.
Yeah. We are talking about nearly 50% of Americans currently using or actively considering using generative AI tools to manage their personal finances.
1 in 2 people. That's just...
Exactly, 1 in 2. And we are not just talking about early adopters here, or software engineers, or tech enthusiasts.
Right, it's mainstream.
The demographic curve has completely flattened. It is your neighbor, it's your uncle, your barista, your accountant. We are witnessing mass adoption on a scale and at a speed that we have rarely seen in the history of consumer technology.
Almost half the country. That is a phenomenal statistic. But, I mean, if I put myself in the shoes of someone dealing with financial stress, I completely get the allure.
Oh, the allure makes total sense.
Think about how intimidating personal finance usually is. It is this industry that feels like it's built entirely on gatekeeping through jargon.
Absolutely. The terminology alone is designed to make you feel like you need a translator.
You have terms like amortization, yield curves, expense ratios, backdoor Roths. It requires complex math, and frankly, there is a massive amount of psychological shame associated with it.
The shame is huge.
If you are 40 years old and you feel like you don't really understand how a 401k works, it is terrifying to ask a human being for help.
That shame factor is really the driving force here. I mean, human financial advisors are fantastic, and they are bound by fiduciary duties, but
It's intimidating.
exactly. Sitting across a mahogany desk from a professional in a tailored suit and having to look them in the eye and admit that you have $30,000 in credit card debt and zero saved for retirement.
That's a nightmare for most people.
It triggers a massive emotional barrier. It triggers all our deeply ingrained fears of judgment and inadequacy.
But a chatbot doesn't sigh.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't judge you. It doesn't raise an eyebrow when you ask it to explain the concept of an index fund for the fifth time.
Right. It has infinite
You
patience.
can just sit on your couch in your sweatpants at 2 in the morning and type, explain the pros and cons of index funds to me like I'm a teenager.
Or, I have this much high interest debt. Here's my monthly income. Please tell me how to pay it down without starving.
Yes. And the AI responds instantly in this conversational, perfectly customized tone.
And what is fascinating here is the illusion of psychological safety. The machine creates this completely judgment-free zone. It feels like a private, sealed confessional.
A private confessional that perfectly captures the feeling.
And because the interface is so minimalist, usually just a clean white screen and a blinking cursor, our brains are sort of tricked into thinking the interaction is completely ephemeral.
Like it just disappears when we close the tab.
Exactly. We project human traits of discretion onto a machine that is fundamentally incapable of it.
And if you are listening right now, you might be thinking of your own chat logs. Because we are way past simply asking basic text-based questions, aren't we?
Oh, we are miles past that.
The source material outlines how these platforms have evolved into full-blown multimodal document analyzers. The capabilities are staggering, and so is the trust users are placing in them.
People are no longer just asking for advice. They are uploading the raw data of their lives.
Which is terrifying.
They are dragging and dropping massive multi-page PDFs of their bank statements right into the chat window.
Oh, wow. Just raw bank statements.
Raw statements. They are taking screenshots of a company's confidential financials, pasting them into the prompt box,
Yeah.
and demanding a fundamental analysis.
Unbelievable.
Or they will take a raw 50-page transcript from a quarterly earnings call, dump the entire text into the AI, and ask it to spot the subtle macroeconomic red flags the CEO is trying to hide from the shareholders.
Which, okay, if we pause and look at it from a purely technological standpoint, that is an incredible democratization of analysis.
It really is an amazing feat of engineering.
Like 10 years ago, you needed to pay a team of Wall Street analysts a small fortune to comb through earnings call transcripts to find those hidden red flags.
Now, an everyday investor sitting at their kitchen table can do it in 4 seconds for $20 a month.
It is undeniably empowering.
It is empowering, but it's a massive double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The empowerment breeds complacency.
I think of it like having a free, hyper-intelligent financial intern available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's a great analogy.
If I wake up at 3 in the morning with a sudden, anxious need to restructure my entire household budget because of an unexpected medical bill, my intern is right there.
Ready to work.
I don't have to wait for business hours. I just dump the numbers in, and it crunches them. It feels so empowering that our natural skepticism simply evaporates. We trust the intern completely.
And if we connect this to the broader trajectory of the digital age, that blind trust is the central fatal vulnerability.
Because convenience always has a cost, right?
Always. Convenience almost universally requires a trade-off with privacy. It is the unspoken currency of the internet.
The easier it is, the more data they take.
Exactly. The easier a tool is to use, the more friction it removes from your life, the more data it is quietly, systematically extracting from you to make that frictionless experience possible.
Which brings us to the actual architecture of these tools. Because the reason our guards are down is that chatting with an AI feels exactly like that closed-door confessional you mentioned earlier.
It feels private, but it's not.
Right. If you are listening to this, mentally scan your own workflow. You type the prompt, the AI answers, you read it, maybe you take a screenshot, and then you close the browser tab.
Out of sight, out of mind.
In your mind, that conversation just evaporated into the ether. But the research we have gathered shows that as we dive into the actual architecture of these systems, we realize it is not a vault. It is an open diary.
It is the complete and total opposite of a private chat.
Yeah.
Let's actually contrast the AI experience with a human fiduciary for a second.
Okay, let's do that.
When you sit in a certified financial planner's office and they close that heavy wooden door, you are protected by a dense, legally binding web of ethical and professional confidentiality agreements.
Right. If they talk, they lose their license.
If they breach that, they lose their license and they face severe civil and potentially criminal penalties. That physical room is a legally protected, secure vault.
Makes sense.
But when you open a browser window and start typing a prompt into a generative AI model, you are essentially standing in the middle of a crowded public square with a megaphone broadcasting your financial secrets.
Okay, I have to push back on that analogy a little bit because it feels a bit alarmist when I look at the reality of the screen.
How so?
Well, when I'm looking at the screen, It is just me and the blinking cursor. There's no one else in the room. What is actually happening under the hood on a technical level from the millisecond I hit the enter key?
It is essential to break down the mechanics because the interface intentionally hides them from you. It's designed to look clean and private.
So what actually happens?
When you hit enter, that text does not simply process locally on your phone or your laptop.
It goes to the cloud?
It is instantly transmitted over the internet to a massive hyperscale server farm, likely distributed across multiple geographic locations.
Okay, so it leaves my device.
First and foremost, the session is logged. It is recorded verbatim, keystroke by keystroke, prompt by prompt. Second, depending on the platform's specific terms of service, which absolutely no one reads because there are 50 pages of dense legalese.
Nobody reads those.
Exactly. But according to those terms, those logs can be stored indefinitely on corporate servers.
Wait, hold on. If I am in the interface and I go to the sidebar and I click the little trash can icon or I select clear chat history, are you saying it isn't actually deleted?
In most default consumer settings, no, it is not deleted from their servers.
You're kidding.
I wish I was. You are merely clearing it from your visual interface. You are hiding the conversation from yourself.
Oh.
The underlying data structure still exists in a massive data lake owned by the tech company. And here is where the mechanics become deeply unsettling. Those stored logs are routinely accessed by human beings.
Wait, human beings? I thought the whole point was that it's an automated machine. Why on earth are people reading my chats?
Because of a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF.
Oh, LHF, right.
Generative AI models are not static. They require constant tuning to ensure they are providing safe, helpful, and accurate responses.
They have to be trained.
Exactly. And to do this, AI companies employ vast armies of third-party human contractors, often distributed globally, to review, grade, and annotate real user chats.
So a real person is just reading these.
A human being sitting in a data center halfway across the world could literally pull up your specific conversation to evaluate how well the AI handled your very specific question about restructuring your defaulted loan.
That completely shatters the entire illusion of the private confessional. The idea that a random contractor is reading my panicked 2.00 a.m. questions about my credit card debt is terrifying.
And it gets even more complex than that.
How so?
These generative AI platforms do not operate in a vacuum. They're deeply integrated with external APIs, application programming interfaces.
Right, plugins and stuff.
If you ask an AI to pull in livestock data, or to format a document using a specific plugin, your raw data might be quietly bouncing between 3 or 4 different tech companies to generate that one seamless answer.
And every company has its own servers.
Exactly. Every single hop is a potential point of exposure.
And what about legal exposure? If it is a recorded log on a corporate server, it's not just tech companies who can see it, right?
That's right. Because it is a recorded log of digital communication housed on a corporate server, it is treated like an email or a text message under the law.
Meaning it can be subpoenaed.
It is highly vulnerable to legal discovery processes. These logs can be and have been subpoenaed.
Wow.
If you are going through a contentious divorce proceeding, civil litigation over a business dispute, or a regulatory investigation, opposing counsel can legally demand that the AI company hand over your chat logs.
So, to summarize this architectural reality, even if I hit clear chat history, those logs could theoretically be subpoenaed by my ex-spouse's lawyer, or accessed by a rogue third-party contractor, or intercepted as it bounces between different API plugins.
Yes, that's the reality. Treating a consumer AI chatbot like a secure, encrypted vault is a fundamental, dangerous misunderstanding of the technology.
We really have to change our mindset.
The absolute rule of thumb you need to adopt today, right now, is this. Anything typed into a generative AI prompt box must be considered a public-facing log.
Treat it like a tweet.
Treat it as if you were publishing it on the front page of a newspaper.
If you take nothing else away from this deep dive, that needs to be the paradigm shift. The AI interface is a leaky bucket.
Very leaky.
And if we accept that it is a leaky bucket, we have to become incredibly meticulously careful about what we are throwing inside. Which brings us to the core of our exploration today. The specific financial data points you must never feed into an AI chatbot.
This is where we get actionable.
Let's do it. We are going to go through 5 distinct categories of forbidden inputs, starting with the most direct, catastrophic access points to your money. Data point number 1, login credentials and passwords.
Now, it sounds incredibly obvious, right? When we say Don't share your passwords. Most people just nod along.
Of course. It's Internet Safety 101.
But you would be shocked at how frequently this happens in the context of generative AI, because it rarely happens intentionally.
Right, no one's just typing, hey AI, here is my password, keep it safe for me.
Exactly. People are not opening a chat window and doing that. The exposure happens entirely by accident, usually during administrative tasks.
So how does someone accidentally hand over the keys to their bank account to a language model? Walk me through a scenario where this actually happens in real life.
Think about someone trying to get their financial life organized. Let's say you were doing an annual financial audit for your household. You sit down on a Sunday with a cup of coffee to finally get organized.
The dreaded Sunday audit. I know it well.
Over the years, you have accumulated dozens of accounts, a couple of old 401ks from previous employers, a primary checking account, a high-yield savings account, a crypto wallet you forgot about, various utility logins.
It's a mess.
It's a total mess. To get a handle on it, you use a password manager, or maybe just an old Excel spreadsheet, and you export all of that data into a raw CSV file, separated values.
Right, and for anyone who doesn't know, a CSV file is just a giant unformatted wall of text separated by commas. It is practically unreadable to the human eye.
Precisely. It is incredibly messy to look at. So the user copies that entire wall of messy text, pastes it directly into the AI prompt box, and types, "Please format this raw data into a clean, alphabetized table with neat columns."
Oh no, I see exactly where this is going.
They are so completely focused on the formatting task, just trying to make it readable, that they completely forget that column C in that messy block of text contains their actual plaintext passwords and security challenge answers.
They just uploaded the master key to their entire digital life, just trying to make a nice table.
Yes, and it's logged forever.
What other ways is this happening? Because I know developers use these tools constantly to write code.
Developers and amateur coders are actually a massive source of credential leaks. A user might be trying to build a custom dashboard to track their personal investments.
Like a custom app.
Yeah. So they ask the AI to write a Python script to automatically log into their brokerage account and scrape their daily balances.
Okay, makes sense.
To see if the code actually works, they paste their actual live API keys or login credentials right into the prompt alongside the code, asking the AI, "Hey, why is this script throwing an authentication error?"
And we just spent the first 20 minutes establishing that this text is stored indefinitely, readable by human annotators, and bounced across external APIs.
Right.
So the threat vector here isn't just some theoretical vulnerability, it is a live wire.
It is the ultimate nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
If those logs are compromised in any way, whether it's an insider threat from a careless contractor taking screenshots or an external hacking syndicate breaching the AI company's servers,
Which happens all the time.
and exfiltrating the data lakes, your accounts are completely exposed. The hackers don't need to crack your password. You literally handed it to them in plain text.
So what is the actionable alternative here? Because people do genuinely need to organize this messy data, and the AI is incredibly good at formatting tables. How do we get the utility without the massive risk?
The alternative is a hard, uncompromising boundary.
Yeah.
Your passwords never, ever touch a generative AI chat interface.
A complete firewall?
You must use dedicated, encrypted password managers. Applications like Bitwarden, 1Password, or the encrypted keychains built directly into your operating systems.
Those are built differently, right?
Completely differently. These tools are designed from the ground up with zero-knowledge architecture, meaning even the companies that make them cannot see your passwords.
Right.
And crucially, you must have two-factor authentication, 2FA, enabled on every single financial account. But when it comes to the AI, it is a hard firewall. Passwords do not cross it, period.
It is a non-negotiable boundary, which leads us to a slightly more nuanced but equally dangerous category. Data point number 2, bank and investment account numbers.
This one catches a lot of people off guard.
We are talking about routing numbers, checking account strings, credit card numbers, and debit card details.
This is a massive, widespread blind spot for consumers. We have been so heavily conditioned to feel safe typing our credit card numbers into the internet because we are used to e-commerce checkouts.
Great, you buy something online, you type the number in, we do it every day.
But there is a fundamental difference in the underlying technology. When you log into your actual bank's website or when you buy something on a reputable online store, your connection is secured by TLS transport layer security.
That's the little padlock icon in the browser.
Exactly. It is banking grade, end-to-end encryption. The data is scrambled in transit. It is heavily fortified.
But the AI chat box isn't a checkout counter.
No, it's not. An AI chat interface is essentially a glorified text box. It's designed for processing natural language, not for securing highly sensitive financial digits.
So it's fundamentally different.
When you type your checking account number and your routing number into a chatbot to ask it to generate, say, a voided check template for your HR department,
Which is such a common thing to do.
or when you paste your credit card statement, including the full card number, to ask the AI about an unrecognized charge, you are entirely bypassing that banking-grade encryption.
To use an analogy, it is like writing your debit card number and your ATM PIN on the back of a postcard and handing it to the mailman.
That is a perfect visualization.
Sure, the mailman might be trustworthy and it might reach its destination safely, but anyone along the entire route, from the sorting facility to the delivery truck, can just flip the postcard over and read the numbers. There is no envelope.
There is no envelope at all. You are placing highly sensitive, actionable digits into a system optimized for text prediction, not financial custody.
Yeah, what's the fallout here?
The fallout is severe and immediate. If those logs are intercepted, it leads directly to fraudulent transactions. If a bad actor harvests an account number and a routing number, they can initiate unauthorized ACH fund transfers.
But, I mean, let's be real. A hacker breaking into an AI server probably isn't going to sit there and manually wire $100 from my checking account, right? They operate at scale.
And that is the dark reality of modern cybercrime. They operate on volume. When malicious actors breach these databases, they aren't manually reading chats.
They use software.
They run automated scripts to scrape every single sequence of numbers that looks like a credit card or a routing number. They harvest millions of them at once.
Wow.
Then they package this data in bulk and sell it on illicit dark web marketplaces. Your specific account number becomes part of a massive database purchased by other criminal syndicates who specialize in draining accounts.
Okay, so we have covered the literal keys to the vault passwords and account numbers. Now, having your money stolen is a horrific experience.
Absolutely terrible.
It is painful, it causes massive anxiety, and it is a total nightmare to sort out. But eventually, if you catch it in time, the bank usually reimburses you, you get a new piece of plastic in the mail, and life goes on.
Usually, yes.
But the next category we're looking at is entirely different. Stealing your money is temporary. Stealing your actual identity creates permanent, lifelong damage.
It's a whole different ballgame.
This brings us to the identity blueprint. Data point number 3. Social security numbers and national identification numbers.
This simply cannot be overstated. Your social security number is the master anchor of your financial existence.
It connects to everything.
It is intrinsically linked to your identity from the moment you are born until the day you die. Unlike a compromised credit card, where you just call the fraud department, cancel it, and get a new one in 3 days.
You cannot easily cancel and replace a social security number.
No. The government makes it exceptionally difficult to get a new one, and honestly, even if you do, the old one remains a part of your permanent record.
I understand the permanence of the SSN. But why on earth would someone intentionally put their social security number into an AI chatbot? It seems like a universally understood rule not to share it.
Because, again, it rarely happens intentionally. It almost always happens via the document upload feature we discussed earlier.
Ah, the PDFs.
Yes. People are heavily utilizing AI for tax preparation and legal document review. They are uploading massive PDFs of their unredacted tax forms, W-2s, government correspondence, mortgage applications, loan documents.
So they just drag and drop the whole file.
They drag and drop the file into the AI and ask for a summary or ask it to check the math or ask how to fill out a subsequent form based on that specific data.
And they completely forget that their social security number is printed in plain text at the top right corner of every single page of that PDF.
Exactly. They don't take a digital black marker and redact the PDF before uploading it.
Yeah.
The AI ingests the entire document, processes the SSN, and logs it.
And once it's logged, it's vulnerable.
And what malicious actors do with an SSN today is far more sophisticated than simply trying to open a single credit card in your name. They engage in a devastating practice known as synthetic identity fraud.
I have read about this in the source materials, but I need you to explain exactly how synthetic identity fraud works, because it sounds like science fiction to me.
It is arguably the fastest growing financial crime in the world right now. In traditional identity theft, the hacker pretends to be you. They use your name and your SSN.
Right.
But in synthetic identity fraud, they create a Frankenstein monster of an identity.
Wait, what does that mean? Synthetic? A Frankenstein identity?
They take your real, Pristine social security number, which they scrape from an AI chat log, and they attach it to a completely fictitious name, a fake date of birth, and a fake address.
So they invent a brand new person using my real number.
Yes, it's a phantom person. And then they play the long game. They apply for a very small credit card using this fake identity.
Will they even get approved for that?
Often, they get rejected initially, but that rejection actually establishes the synthetic identity in the credit bureau's databases.
Oh, because the inquiry is logged.
Exactly. The inquiry makes the fake person real to the system.
Yeah.
Eventually, they get a small loan. They pay it off perfectly. They get a larger credit card. They pay it off.
They behave like a model citizen.
They've spent years, literally years, building up an excellent credit score for this phantom person, entirely anchored to your real Social Security number.
Why do they spend years paying off loans? That sounds like so much work. What is the ultimate end goal?
The end goal is called the bust out.
The bust out.
Once the synthetic identity has access to hundreds of thousands of dollars in high-tier credit lines and personal loans, they max out every single account in a matter of days.
Oh my God.
They extract all the cash, buy luxury goods, and then completely vanish into thin air.
And because the debt is anchored to my Social Security number?
The collection agencies eventually come looking for you. And untangling a synthetic identity from your real credit report can take years of legal battles.
Years?
Years. It can completely destroy your ability to buy a house, get a car loan, or even pass an employment background check in the meantime.
That is absolutely chilling. It is a ticking time bomb, which makes the next data point deeply concerning, even if, on the surface, it feels much less sensitive than an SSM.
Data point number 4.
Right. Data point number 4, your full name, your home address, and your date of birth. Now, I have to push back a little here on behalf of the listener.
Okay, push back.
I completely understand guarding the Social Security number. But my name and my home address, if someone really wants to find out where I live, they can just look at public property tax records.
True.
They can search the internet. It is practically public record anyway. Why does it matter if the AI knows my demographic details?
That is a brilliant question, and it gets to the very heart of how modern, sophisticated cybercrime actually operates.
Okay.
You are completely right. A name and an address in isolation are not heavily guarded state secrets. But it is not the data itself that is dangerous. It is the context in which that data is found.
Explain what you mean by context.
Let's look at it from the hacker's perspective. If a hacker just looks up your address in a public county database, all they know is where your house is. That isn't very useful for digital fraud.
Right. They can't do much with just that.
But if a hacker intercepts your AI chat log, they do not just have your address. They have your name and address explicitly attached to a deeply intimate conversation where you are desperately asking the AI how to avoid defaulting on a specific $40,000 personal loan from a specific local credit union.
Oh, wow. The context is the vulnerability.
You have just handed them your exact financial anxieties, your vulnerabilities, and your banking relationships on a silver platter.
Because it's all in the chat log.
Connecting your basic demographic data to your specific debt questions or your specific investment hopes gives scammers the exact psychological leverage they need to build a devastatingly effective, highly targeted attack.
Here's where it gets really interesting and frankly terrifying. You were saying they don't use this information to steal the money directly. They use the chat log to psychologically manipulate me into voluntarily handing them the money.
Precisely. It is a technique known as spear phishing, or vishing when it's done over the phone.
Phishing, voice phishing.
Right. Because they have your entire chat log, they know your exact pressure points. They can call your personal cell phone, spoof the caller ID so it looks like it is coming from that specific credit union, and reference the exact $40,000 loan you were asking the AI about.
And because they know the exact amount and the exact bank, my brain immediately drops all of its defenses.
Your brain automatically assumes, oh, this must be legitimate. There is no way a random scammer could know the exact balance of my private loan.
Of course. I would believe them instantly.
You drop your guard. They tell you there is a security breach on your account, and they need you to verify a transfer to a quote-unquote safe account. And because you are terrified, and they sound completely credible based on the stolen data, you initiate the transfer.
That is when the real theft occurs.
Exactly. The AI log was just the intelligence gathering phase.
It is the triangulation of data. The AI chat log is the glue that connects your public, easily searchable identity to your deepest, most private vulnerabilities. It weaponizes your own life against you.
That's a great way to put it.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of all these risks, the final category. Data point number 5, detailed tax and financial documents. We are talking about pay stubs, W-2s, 1099s, and massive comprehensive tax returns.
This is perhaps the most profound and encompassing risk of all.
Why is that?
When you upload a detailed tax return, say a full Form 1040 with all its schedules, or an extensive household income report to an AI, and you say, analyze my budget, or look at my tax return and tell me if my CPA missed any potential deductions.
Which, again, sounds like a really smart use of AI.
It does. But you are not just handing over a few numbers.
Okay.
You are handing over a holistic, high-definition blueprint of your entire life's wealth and activities.
A tax return is really a diary, isn't it? It is a financial autobiography.
It really is.
It shows your total earnings, sure. But if you look at the schedules, it reveals so much more. Your tax deductions reveal your charitable giving, which indicates your political or religious affiliations. It shows your mortgage interest, revealing the exact size of your home loan. It shows your medical expense deductions, which can reveal chronic illnesses or expensive treatments.
It reveals your investment gains and losses, which exposes your exact risk tolerance and your specific asset allocation.
It's everything.
It reveals if you are paying alimony, if you are going through a divorce, how many dependents you have and their ages. It reveals if you own secondary properties or rental units in other states. It is a comprehensive blueprint of your entire existence.
The source material specifically highlights the risks of blackmail and severe fraud here. And looking at the sheer volume of data in a tax return, I can clearly see why. If someone has access to this, they hold all the cards.
If these documents are exposed in a data breach or accessed by a malicious contractor, the information can be heavily weaponized for extortion.
So they blackmail you with it.
They don't just threaten to release your information. They threaten to use the specific, highly detailed financial anomalies they found to report you to the IRS. Or they threaten your employer with fabricated scandals using verifiable details from your return.
And it is not just directed at you, the user, right?
No, it rarely stops with the primary target. Bad actors will use this comprehensive financial map to launch tailored social engineering attacks against your broader family network.
Oh, man.
Armed with intimate, verifiable financial details, they can contact your elderly parents or your children who are away at college.
Using the names they got from the dependent list.
Exactly. They pretend to be a lawyer or an accountant handling an emergency with your specific assets. Because the attacker knows so much verifiable detail, the family member implicitly trusts them and complies with demands for money or access.
The irony here is just mind-blowing. Think about the motivation of the person uploading your tax return in the first place.
They're trying to do the right thing.
Exactly. They are trying to be responsible. They are trying to become more financially literate, to optimize their budget, to secure their family's future wealth.
Yeah.
And in that quest for security, they are accidentally handing over the exact high-definition blueprints of their financial lives to potential extortionists. We are trying to build the impenetrable fortress, but we are leaving the vault door wide open with the neon sign pointing right at it.
It is the ultimate paradox of the artificial intelligence era. We are willingly sacrificing profound structural security for conversational convenience.
Okay, so let's take a deep breath and pivot. Let's look at the other side of the coin for a minute.
Sure.
Let's say a listener is hearing this, and they are incredibly meticulous. They heed all the warnings. They completely sanitize all their data.
The perfect user.
Right. They never use their real name. They never upload raw PDFs. They never share passwords or account numbers. And they only use anonymized, rounded, hypothetical numbers in their prompts. They have completely mitigated the privacy risk.
Oh, hypothetically.
The question then becomes, is the AI actually giving you good, sound financial advice in return for all this effort? Does the competency of the AI actually match its overwhelming confidence?
This is the second half of the grand illusion, and it is arguably just as dangerous as the privacy risks.
Really? How so?
As humans, we have a cognitive bias. We assume that because an AI can speak with absolute grammatical perfection and project total, unwavering certainty, it must be factually correct.
It sounds smart, so we assume it is smart.
But the research we are looking at from MIT provides a massive, sobering reality check on this assumption.
I was reading through that MIT study we gathered for this deep dive, and it completely shattered my assumption about computers being flawless calculators. They found that these models aren't really doing math at all right. Break down what the researchers discovered.
The MIT researchers found that despite their incredibly authoritative, professional tone, standard consumer AI systems, The massive general-purpose models that the vast majority of people are using every single day completely lack specialized financial training modules.
They aren't finance experts.
They are generalists. They are designed to write poetry, summarize historical events, and generate computer code. They are not trained to be fiduciaries or certified public accountants.
Right.
Without specialized walled-off financial enhancements, their analytical capabilities fall far short of professional certification standards.
So what does this actually mean for the everyday user who is just asking the AI for a simple budget breakdown or trying to calculate compounding interest on a loan?
It means you are dealing with a deeply flawed phenomenon known as numerical hallucination.
Numerical hallucination.
We have all heard of AI hallucinating facts, making up historical dates or fake legal cases. But numerical hallucination is far more insidious.
Why is it worse?
Large language models, or LLMs, are highly prone to misinterpreting, dropping, or completely fabricating numerical data, especially in contexts that are dense with figures, like a spreadsheet, a budget, or an earnings report.
I really want to pause and dig into this concept of numerical hallucination because it is so incredibly counterintuitive to how we've been taught to think about machines.
It is very counterintuitive.
When we think of computers, our baseline assumption is that they are calculators. We assume a computer is inherently flawlessly better at math than a human being. Why is an incredibly advanced billion-dollar AI model bad at basic arithmetic?
It is a vital distinction to understand. An LLM is not a calculator. It is, at its core, a predictive language engine.
Okay, explain the difference.
When you ask a traditional calculator what 2 plus 2 is, it executes a deterministic mathematical function in its circuitry and outputs 4. It calculates.
Right, it does the math.
When you ask a standard generative AI what 2 plus 2 is, it does not do the math. It searches its vast, multi-trillion parameter training data to find what specific token, or word, most frequently follows the phrase 2 plus 2 is.
Wait, really?
Yes, and it outputs 4 simply because that is statistically the most probable next token in human language.
It is just guessing the next word based on statistical probability. It's like it is playing a hyper-advanced, incredibly fast game of Mad Libs.
That is exactly what it's doing. It's a next word predictor. Now, for very simple math, the statistical probability in its training data is so overwhelmingly high that it guesses correctly almost every time. It looks like it is doing math.
But it's not.
But when you feed it a complex scenario, say a 50-row spreadsheet detailing compounding interest rates across different loan principles factored against varying marginal tax brackets, it completely breaks down.
Because it hasn't seen that exact sequence of text before.
Exactly. It doesn't calculate the underlying math. It tries to statistically guess what a summary paragraph of that data should look like, based on similar financial documents it has read in the past.
Oh, wow.
It hallucinates the numbers to make the sentence structurally and grammatically plausible.
That is wild. Right, it looks like a perfectly formatted financial analysis. The tone is reassuring, but the underlying numbers are essentially a statistical mirage.
A mirage that can cost you dearly.
And the real-world consequences of relying on a mirage could be catastrophic. Give me a hypothetical example of how this plays out for a user in real life.
Imagine a user asks the AI for a debt snowball strategy.
Okay, very common request.
They have 5 different credit cards with different balances and different APRs. They anonymize the data, so there is no privacy risk. And they ask the AI which card to pay off first to minimize total interest paid over 3 years.
Seems like a great use case.
Because the AI is predicting text rather than calculating compounding interest over 36 months, it might confidently instruct the user to focus all their extra payments on a card with a lower balance, but a much lower interest rate, hallucinating that this mathematically saves them money.
And because the AI presents the strategy in a beautifully formatted, bulleted list with a confident tone, the user just follows the advice.
Exactly. And by following that hallucinated math, the user ends up paying thousands of dollars more in interest over the 3 years than if they had just used a basic deterministic spreadsheet calculator.
That's incredibly frustrating.
If you rely on an AI's incorrect budget projection, you might over-leverage yourself on a mortgage because you think you have more disposable income than you actually do.
Because the AI told you it was fine.
If you rely on its flawed investment performance analysis, you might allocate your retirement funds into a highly risky asset class under the completely false, mathematically flawed assumption that it is safe. The AI will confidently, politely, and grammatically guide you right off a financial cliff.
So we are looking at a landscape filled with massive privacy risks and a core technology that suffers from a high probability of numerical hallucinations.
It's a minefield.
And yet, the utility of being able to untangle financial jargon is so high. What is the safe approach here? How should we actually be using this technology? Because it is clearly too powerful and too useful to just completely ignore.
The protocol for using generative AI safely in the realm of personal finance is strict, but it is highly effective if you actually follow it.
Let's hear it.
First, as we discussed, sanitize absolutely everything. Never use real data. Use hypothetical or heavily anonymized data.
Make up numbers.
Exactly. Instead of saying, here is my actual credit card balance, my exact salary, and the name of my bank, you abstract the problem entirely.
How does that sound in practice?
You say, if a hypothetical person has $10,000 in debt at an 18% APR and makes $5,000 a month, what are 3 conceptual strategies to approach paying it down?
You depersonalize the prompt entirely. You make it a theoretical case study.
Completely. You ask for the framework, not the specific calculation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, you must treat generative AI strictly as a brainstorming assistant. Think of it as a highly articulate sounding board for concepts.
Let's use it to learn.
Use it to overcome the intimidation of jargon. Ask it to explain the fundamental difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA. Ask it to generate a blank, unpopulated template for a zero-based budget.
Oh, that's smart. A blank template.
Use it to outline the steps for negotiating a medical bill. Use it for education, structure, and literacy.
But never for execution.
Never for execution and never for complex calculation. It must never replace human judgment and active supervision.
You have to double check the work.
Always. You take the concepts and the frameworks the AI provides you, you verify those concepts with reputable, specialized sources, and then you execute the actual math and the actual transactions using secure, encrypted financial institutions or certified human professionals.
Okay, let's pull all of these threads together. We have covered a massive amount of ground today on this deep dive, and if you are listening, you probably need to rethink how you interact with these chat windows.
I hope they do.
Generative AI is undoubtedly a brilliant, revolutionary tool for financial education. It can break down complex, intimidating jargon, it can offer brilliant structural frameworks for budgeting, and it can act as the infinitely patient, judgment-free sounding board we all sometimes need when dealing with the stress of money.
But the core, non-negotiable takeaway is that the interface you are looking at is an illusion.
The clean white box is a lie.
The clean design and the conversational tone mask a massive beta-hungry architecture. It is fundamentally a public-facing log bouncing across servers and human annotators. It is not a secure vault.
And because it is an open diary, you must zealously guard those 5 critical data points. Treat them like radioactive material.
Absolutely radioactive.
Never share your passwords or API keys. Never share your account numbers or routing digits. Keep your social security number far, far away from the chat box, regardless of what document it is printed on.
And redact those PDFs.
Yes. Withhold your demographic triangulation, your name, address, and date of birth, and never, ever upload raw tax or comprehensive income documents.
Never.
Treat the AI like a brilliant, articulate stranger you just met in a coffee shop. You might ask them for general advice on how the economy works or how to structure a budget, but you certainly wouldn't hand them your wallet, your tax returns, and your house keys.
That is the perfect operational mindset. And remember the MIT research. Verify every single number the AI gives you.
They hallucinate.
Understand that it is predicting text, not calculating reality. Do not let its confident, authoritative tone override your common sense or your basic calculator.
Such good advice. If you found this deep dive valuable and if it changed the way you think about your digital security and your financial privacy, please make sure you like and subscribe to the Generational Wealth Project.
We'd love to have you back.
Our goal is to synthesize the noise, dig into the research, and equip you with the knowledge to protect and grow your assets in a world that is changing at breakneck speed. Subscribing is the best way to ensure you are always one step ahead of the curve.
Because protecting the wealth you already have is just as important, if not more so, than generating new wealth.
Absolutely. Defense wins championships, especially in the digital age. And as we wrap up today's exploration, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to chew on. We spent a lot of time today talking about the micro risks,
From
the,
some risks, yeah.
the risk of hackers intercepting your specific data or scammers targeting you for fraud. But let's zoom out for a second and look at the entities actually building and hosting these massive models.
But this is the big picture.
If millions of us, half the country, according to the Experian data, are willingly daily feeding our real-time financial anxieties, our budget struggles, our specific debt questions, and our future investment hopes into these AI models, what kind of macroeconomic insights are these tech companies secretly gathering?
It's an unprecedented level of data.
If a single tech conglomerate has access to the real-time financial health, the purchasing intent, and the psychological stress levels of 100 million individual citizens before that data ever hits a quarterly GDP report, they might know the actual state of the economy better and faster than the Federal Reserve.
It is a profound and slightly terrifying question.
Mhm.
It shifts the entire dynamic of economic forecasting.
It really makes you wonder who the real product is in this exchange. Remember, you can build the strongest, most impenetrable financial fortress in the world, but it simply does not matter if you leave the blueprints taped to the front gate. Guard your data, trust your own judgment, verify the math, and keep building your legacy. We will see you on the next Deep Dive.